Okay, you're live.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this Scheme Manager Update Town Hall of DeFi Payments Private Limited. This Town Hall is being hosted by Jason Kadechi, Scheme Manager and Director of DeFi Payments, and myself. My name is George. I'm a director with the Crow team that's assisting the Scheme Manager in this ongoing engagement. First off, to all our creditors who are located in India, sincere apologies for the timing of this town hall, which is being held during the Diwali public holiday. Ultimately, we wanted to get this update to creditors and discuss it via town hall sooner rather than later, in view of the material updates that are communicated in the Scheme Manager update, as well as the court application, which have implications for the timeline towards the second distribution, which many creditors are very anxious about and interested in. So, just some housekeeping matters before we kick off. This town hall, much like the other town halls that have historically been held by the company and the Scheme Manager, will be in the first 1 hour or so, we'll be going through the slides. In this case, the slide will not be a quarterly update. It will be the Scheme Manager update, which is dated 13th October, and it was circulated to all creditors last week on 14th of October. After about 45 minutes to an hour of content on the slides, we will go through some pre-submitted questions, which were emailed to us by creditors of DeFi Payments. There aren't too many of them, and we will address them in turn. And lastly, we will get to the live Q&A section. As a recap, this town hall is being held on Zoom, but it is being live streamed to YouTube. If you just wish to watch the town hall, basically you'll be able to do so on the YouTube link that was provided in the email that went to all creditors. So to our creditors in India, given that today is Diwali, you will be able to watch this after your public holiday and at your own convenience. Now, if you want to participate in the last section of the town hall, which is reserved for live Q&A, where creditors can join the Zoom call, ask questions of the Scheme Manager and his team, and have them answered, you will need to join the dial-in for the Teams link that was circulated in the email last week. When doing so, you'll be kept in the waiting room until it is your turn to speak. Just to ensure that the proceedings are carried out in an orderly manner, we will allow anywhere between 1 to 3 creditors in to the Zoom call at a time, so they can ask questions and have them answered. And once those questions have been answered, they'll be removed from the call so that other creditors from the waiting room can be let in. When you're let in, please exit the YouTube link if you're watching it, because you can watch it while you're in the waiting room, as that causes a bit of an echo. And you can always open up the YouTube link subsequently once you have exited the town hall, having had your questions answered. I'll go through these points again quickly before we dive into the live Q&A. So that's enough for housekeeping. We'll dive into the content. At a high level, this Scheme Manager update was issued to provide creditors with a bit of clarity on the various work streams and actions taken by the Scheme Manager to expedite within his ability to do so the second distribution. As many creditors will know, there has been significant communication and collaboration issues with the creditor representative and the CEO, Damir Budmir and Malcolm Copeland, respectively. The Scheme Manager and his team have been doing the utmost to solicit the required information and collaboration from them to actually securely and compliantly progress the second distribution. Unfortunately, it has not been possible. So what we have done is undertaken an application to court, which was also provided to creditors last week. This Scheme Manager update is a wordy update, and I don't intend to go through line by line every single piece of detail in this update. It has been provided to creditors, and you can read it in your own time. I will just hit the highlights so that we can address creditor concerns and questions as much as possible during this town hall. This Scheme Manager update also addresses certain allegations that have been made by the CR and the CEO in various forums, be they emails sent to all creditors or internal correspondence to the Scheme Manager. As before, I will not go into too much detail, but we can address questions subsequently. So broadly speaking, what the scheme manager has been doing since the last update is working towards getting the second distribution carried out. There are two options. The option that was being assessed primarily was whether the company was capable of carrying out this second distribution through its proposed distribution method, which involved an integration of Fireblocks with the Vault platform. Having taken advice, the scheme manager has advised that the most effective way actually to effect a second distribution in that fulfills three key criteria: security, scalability, and compliance, would actually be to partner with an established global and regulated crypto exchange. They will handle KYC and they will handle distributions. So in parallel with the assessing the company's proposed distribution method, the scheme manager has also been actively working on a partnership with Crypto.com to support the second distribution. In the scheme manager's view, this partnership is actually expected to be a significantly better, a more effective approach that's expected to be cost neutral to the company. And because of Crypto.com's global reach and incredibly comprehensive compliance and security capabilities around the globe, we'll be able to address the three key requirements of security, scalability, and compliance. Of course, in parallel, scheme manager has tried to progress discussions with the board of directors, CR and CEO, and try to obtain the relevant information on their proposed distribution method, which will allow the scheme manager team to understand whether their distribution method is viable. But at the same time, try to obtain board approval on certain key board decisions that need to be made before the second distribution can be started. Unfortunately, several key issues remain outstanding as of the issuance of this report. They continue to remain outstanding as of today. And because there have been issues with with obtaining alignment from the board on these key issues, which we'll go into in a bit more detail later, as well as obtaining sufficiently detailed information on the proposed distribution method to ascertain whether it can actually be used for second distribution. On 13th of October, the scheme manager made an application to court to seek the court's approval to make the second distribution via Crypto.com. At a high level, this will leave for sought to undertake this distribution in the creditor's choice of 4 tokens: BTC, ETH, XRP, or USDC. And the total quantum of distribution would allow for sufficient cost reserves to be held back to address future enforcement actions against counterparty A. As such, the second distribution is expected to be US dollars 88.9 million, which is an indicative number because it is subject to price volatility. Now, if the application is granted, this is expected to be distributable by December 2025. And now, if the CR and CEO indicate their agreement on the outstanding issues, outstanding keyboard issues, and agree to use the Crypto.com solution, this can be even faster. There's a timeline that I will go into later. As referenced earlier, there are a number of allegations that the scheme manager addressed in this update, the second half of the update that have been put forward by the CR and CEO. We'll get into more detail later, but broadly speaking, these allegations are either factually inaccurate or they can already be answered with the information that have been available to the CR and CEO during their tenure as board members. Broadly speaking, the second distribution is very, very important in the restructuring, and we understand that. The scheme manager understands that the team has been working to achieve this and expedite it. The ongoing work includes assessing whether the existing distribution method of the company can handle the second distribution in a secure, scalable, and compliant manner, and at the same time, in parallel, progressing the discussions with Crypto.com for an alternative method, which is now substantially progressed. We have also attempted to engage with the CR and CEO on board matters which have not been agreed to date. And lastly, filing and progressing an application to the Singapore court for directions that will allow the company to effect the second distribution, even without board agreement on the above issues and via crypto.com. A substantial amount of work and effort and detail have gone into these work streams, much of which is actually discussed in detail with reference to the underlying correspondence and with the board included in the court application, which has been shared with all creditors. So firstly, why are we talking about the security, scalability, and compliance of the process? But fundamentally, the scheme manager has a responsibility to assess the distribution method proposed by the CR and CEO, and security is critical, especially given prior security breaches, which resulted in asset losses exceeding $300,000. And this has occurred despite the CR and CEO's attempts to improve the company's security infrastructure. To date, we have asked repeatedly for technical information that will allow us to ascertain whether the vault platform is indeed secure after their efforts to improve the security following these losses, however, have not been able to obtain enough information to ascertain that. As such, security remains a key concern in relation to the distribution method, especially when it is run through the vault platform. Scalability is also absolutely critical. We have received a lot of feedback and concern from creditors over the course of 2025, during which the company was not able to scale up its withdrawal capability to support mass withdrawals. Withdrawals were done on a slow, manual, and highly detailed process, which was accurate because it run through multiple manual checks, but it was also completely unscalable, and as such, was not able to address the rapidly increasing withdrawal pressure from new withdrawal requests submitted on a daily basis. Given that a second distribution will result in a sudden surge of withdrawal requests, it is clear that a manual process will not be sufficient. And what is not clear to us is whether this process can be sufficiently scaled up in the proposed distribution method to actually address all of these withdrawals as they come through, particularly in the context of the next point, which is compliance. One key aspect of compliance that needs to be undertaken would be KYC. KYC will need to, given that the last distribution was carried out at this stage almost exactly 2 years ago, re-KYC will be an important aspect of ensuring the security and compliance of the second distribution. It is not clear to us that the company's proposed KYC solutions are capable of scaling up to address what we expect to be at least 30 to 35,000 withdrawal requests coming in a very short time. And finally, on the point of compliance, as many scheme creditors are based in jurisdictions that have their own regulations in relation to crypto assets, it's important that the company can distribute these assets to the creditors in a legally compliant manner. Now, just taking a quick look back into the recent past. Over the course of this year, the scheme manager has held multiple town halls, and in doing so, disclosed the significant difficulties that he has been having with the CR and CEO in relation to just clarification about the proposed distribution method. And as such, the scheme manager has not been able to fully assess if their proposed distribution method can actually affect the second distribution. At a high level, key issues that remain unaddressed would be whether the integration of Fireblocks with the vault platform is secure, whether the vault platform itself is secure. There are some serious concerns about the nature of the Vietnamese developers that were engaged to integrate the Fireblocks solution with the vault platform, how they were vetted, how administrative access was granted, it was revoked, how the code was assessed, especially in the context of past security breaches, which resulted from security issues arising from developer access. Well, another key issue that has not been clarified sufficiently by the CR and CEO involved whether large-scale KYC can actually be supported by a very, very small team of 5 Vault Care team members. They have mentioned they have brought on a third-party KYC vendor uh, to replace the previous one. We have not received any information on the identity of this KYC vendor, their capabilities, or the way that they run KYC. Lastly, there are unresolved issues as to whether the company can compliantly facilitate direct distributions to creditors globally, many of which reside in regulated jurisdictions like the USA, which have both federal registration requirements as well as state-specific regulatory compliance requirements. While the information that we have today is limited, and we continue to be open to receiving more detailed information that will help us address our concerns. The information that we have right now indicates that the CR and CEO's proposed distribution method cannot effect the second distribution in a secure, scalable, and compliant manner. The CR and CEO have not been able to respond to a set of fundamental and critical questions to address these concerns. And as such, the scheme manager is not confident that the second distribution can be made appropriately and viably through their method. Any fixes that would need to be made to their distribution method to render it fit for purpose for the second distribution would likely take a significant amount of time, effort, and funding to implement. This, to the scheme manager team, is not acceptable, as this will result in major costs and unacceptable further delay to the second distribution. Broadly speaking, the way that we have been advised is the most effective methodology for a distribution is to actually partner with an established global and regulated crypto exchange who will facilitate KYC and distributions. Other large-scale crypto insolvencies, like that of Celsius Network and BlockFi, have done so. And we are presently in the ongoing process of negotiating and diligencing a partnership for a withdrawal solution with Crypto.com. Crypto.com basically Crypto.com as a solution is being progressed in parallel because in our view is the most effective way of handling this quickly, in a scalable way, securely, in a compliant manner. The terms that we have negotiated and continue to discuss with Crypto.com are set out in the appendix to the court application. But at a high level, this is expected to be a nil cost to the company. It takes advantage of Crypto.com's security security as a range of security certifications and third-party security audits. It is highly effective in onboarding the full scheme creditor base quickly, given its very extensive KYC capabilities, and broadly being able to carry out the second distribution swiftly at the global scale at which they operate. We have also negotiated trading and withdrawal fee discounts and liquidity benefits to scheme creditors should they wish to continue trading or directly withdraw from the Crypto.com platform. This remains under discussion. And on the compliance front, Crypto.com will take full responsibility for KYC and AML at scale, and it will cater to regulations specific to key jurisdictions that scheme creditors are located. As such, the company itself does not have to process KYC or take on any associated risk of compliance. And at the same time, there will be a significantly reduced workload and operational risk for the company, given that Crypto.com will take on the full responsibility for withdrawal of the second distribution. The scheme manager team is confident that the Crypto.com solution is capable of effecting this second distribution in a secure, scalable, and compliant manner, and as such has made a court application to obtain leave of the court to actually commence the second distribution through Crypto.com instead of the company's proposed distribution method. Taking a step away from Crypto.com for a moment, I would like to provide some color on what board decisions remain outstanding. There are 4 of them. I'll take them in turn. Basically, the exact token denominations of the second distribution is an item that needs full board approval per the terms of the scheme. While the board has agreed to distribute BTC, ETH, XRP, and USDC in a similar manner to the first distribution, there's been disagreement on whether scheme creditors should be allowed to choose the tokens that they receive the share of the second distribution in. The scheme manager's position is that given that 2 years have passed since the last time that creditors were able to choose, we should be giving scheme creditors the option to reselect what denomination they receive the distribution in. However, the CR and CEO have disagreed, and they insist that creditors retain their original selections. They have not been able to explain in writing this request for why they insisting on creditors retain their original selections, which are now 2 years old. Token denominations to hold recovered illiquid assets in up to the second distribution is a board decision that was unanimously approved. Basically, the board has agreed to have the recovered illiquid assets held in their current token denominations and fiat currency, except for whatever USD to USDC conversion is required, pending the second distribution, and only converted to the respective token denominations to facilitate the second distribution immediately prior to the second distribution. This has been unanimously approved by the board. Third agenda item, that is the net recovery available for distribution. And this is an issue that is still outstanding as board approval has not been obtained. While there has been unanimous board approval on cost reservation of historical incurred legal costs associated with counterparty A and an associated refund to the cost reserves for these balances, the CR and CEO did not agree with the cost reservation proposed by the scheme manager for future enforcement costs and have requested cost estimates for these enforcement efforts. These cost estimates have since been provided to the CR and CEO in a timely fashion. However, they have yet to respond to indicate their agreement or to propose an alternative figure for consideration. Lastly, on the topic of the subsequent RDA. Following discussion among board members, no subsequent RDA will be conducted in relation to the second distribution. This is because a subsequent RDA requires full board approval, and the scheme manager has disagreed with the CR and CEO's proposal for one. The scheme manager has disagreed on the basis of certain key outstanding concerns in relation to the treatment of confidential information and potential for certain creditors getting the benefit of being unfairly preferred in subsequent RDAs due to confidential information potentially being in their hands and not broadly available to the creditor body. Scheme manager team has asked the CR and CEO for suggestions, mechanisms to mitigate this kind of risk and make a subsequent RDA capable of being carried out in an unbiased and fair fashion for all VRT creditors. However, the CR and CEO have not been able to provide any such indications or suggestions, and as such, the scheme manager has disagreed with holding a subsequent RDA. The CR did assert at the board meeting on 3rd October, where all these items were discussed, that no such second distribution should take place unless the board has unanimously agreed on all issues relating to the second distribution, including holding a subsequent RDA. This was asserted in error. It is not factually accurate, and the scheme manager did explain at this board meeting to the CR that this is not the case because the terms of the scheme expressly provide that if the board does not unanimously agree to conduct a subsequent RDA, that the second distribution can take place without a subsequent RDA. So the next two slides cover the next steps and indicative timeline. We'll take it in turn. Row number 1 basically sets out the timeline from the start of August to 3rd of October 2025, where the scheme manager had been repeatedly asking the CR and the CEO to provide updates on their proposed distribution method and to decide on those key board matters. More than 10 emails were sent by the scheme manager to CR and CEO the scheme manager team also attempted to reach out by a phone call and text messages. These were, however, not sufficient to obtain the requisite amount of information. And the CR and CEO were unresponsive and slow in responding to the scheme manager. While the detail on exactly what these emails were about is not available in this creditor update, a significant volume of detail, including excerpts from the emails themselves, are available in the court application that was filed by the scheme manager team. Eventually, a board meeting was held on 3rd October 25, as referenced in the previous slide, where the CR and CEO committed to responding to the scheme manager's queries by 7th of October. This was the first deadline, which was missed. The CR and CEO did not reply to the comprehensive queries by 7th October. And accordingly, in row number 2, the scheme manager sent a follow-up email requesting a reply by 10th October 2025. The second deadline in row number 3, which was not fully addressed. Basically, the CEO responded to some of the scheme manager's questions relating to the proposed distribution methods while leaving many other fundamental queries unanswered. Notably, the CEO and the CR also failed to respond to any of the outstanding board issues relating to the second distribution, as discussed on the previous slide. Given the inability of the CR and CEO to provide sufficient information to the scheme manager team to assess if the distribution method is fit for purpose, and also to agree outstanding board issues related to the second distribution, row number 4, on 13th October 2025, last Monday, scheme manager filed the court application to the Singapore court for directions which will enable the company to effect the second distribution in a secure, scalable, and compliant manner through crypto.com. Scheme manager will continue to progress this application unless 2 things occur. Firstly, if the outstanding issues that the board needs to agree on are resolved. And secondly, if the board agrees to use the crypto.com solution to effect the second distribution, given that the proposed distribution method appears to be unable to do so in a secure, scalable, and compliant manner. Step number 5 is where it gets a bit more indicative, because because ultimately the hearing of the application is estimated to is in the court's hands. This is subject to court schedules. We expect that it's going to take approximately 6 weeks between the filing of the application to the hearing of the application, and this is expected to be in the last week of November. We will concurrently work with crypto.com to finalize the withdrawal solution in parallel with this timeline, so that once the court approves the scheme manager's request, the second distribution process can commence immediately. It is important to note that this is an indicative timeline, and it is in the hands of the court. The application has been accepted by the court, and there is a case conference scheduled on the 28th of October 2025 in relation to this application. This is not the hearing itself. The case conference is an administrative conference at which next steps and timelines will be set out for the leading up to the actual hearing of the application. This timeline is also indicative because it is also subject to any affidavits filed in the matter by creditors, which may extend the timeline to a court hearing. Now, from row 7 onwards is on the assumption that the court grants this approval at the end of November. Excuse me. So assuming that the court grants the approval for the second distribution via crypto.com in the last week of November, we expect to issue a notice to all creditors in the first week of December, basically informing them that the second distribution process is now underway. Please sign up with crypto.com and indicate your choice of token to withdraw your second distribution in. That's referred to as the notice. Then there's a 1-week period for creditors to respond to the notice, creditors can indicate what tokens they want to receive, and also use this period to sign up with crypto.com, and importantly, to pass crypto.com's KYC. Once we know what tokens creditors want to receive, then we can then undertake the rebalancing exercise to convert the net recovery to the exact tokens required for the second distribution across the entire creditor base, expected to be in row 9, third week of December 2025. And in row 10, expected to be in the fourth week of December 2025, before the end of the year. The second distribution will commence for scheme creditors who have onboarded and KYC with Crypto.com to be allowed to trade or withdraw their share of the second distribution. This is an indicative timeline. More detail is being worked through with Crypto.com in parallel with this court timeline. And more information will be provided to creditors on exactly how they can go about responding to the notice, how they can go about signing up with Crypto.com, how they can go about participating in the second distribution so that the access is not unduly delayed. I'm going to hand over now to Jason for a short while before I go into a bit more detail on the financial matters that make up the second half of this presentation.
Thanks, George. Happy Diwali to our Indian creditors. Apologies for the timing of this meeting. But if you'd like to, you can obviously watch this replay, and if you'd like to engage with us directly thereafter and ask any further questions, then please reach out to us. There's been various correspondence from the CR to all of the creditors, and you will have seen our response by email where we addressed those questions that were raised. We had also received separately from the CEO mostly questions directed at us of a similar nature that we've decided to publish here our responses so that all creditors have access to that information, basically. These questions came at the time at which the CR was seeking my removal, and were a surprise to us on the basis that they had prior and extensive knowledge in relation to all of these questions that were being asked. So we felt just to clear the air and get it out in the open, we would publish these answers to all creditors here so that the information is available to all. George, would you like to just briefly take us through some of these things? And if creditors wanted to know more about any of them, we can deal with that offline as well.
Absolutely. The first category of allegations that have been made were in respect of material variances from the explanatory statement in relation to two of the illiquid asset recovery processes, Counterparty A and Flipboard. This was done by the CEO in recent correspondence with the scheme manager. He queried why there were material variances in actual costs and timings for these two processes compared to what was forecast in the explanatory statement, which was prepared in the first half of 2023. As a preliminary observation, the CEO should already know the reason for these variances. He has been a director since the end of November 2024 and has participated in multiple board meetings at which progress and costs in relation to these recovery processes were discussed in detail. But as a substantive response, the variances are attributable to additional costs arising from other things, protracted processes, or additional scopes of work, as set out in paragraph 4.5.7.2 of the explanatory statement, Appendix 3. This was shared with all creditors during the restructuring process itself, and was also provided to the CEO and CR. These additional costs were not factored into what was forecast because the forecasts were made in early 2023 at the very beginning of the respective recovery processes, when clarity on timelines, costs, and strategy were limited, and they have since been progressed. We produced two examples of these additional costs for reference and explanation. An example of a protracted process would be the Counterparty A arbitration. As outlined in previous town halls with the scheme manager, in our view, Counterparty A has consistently sought to delay and obstruct proceedings. This tactical approach appears intended to strain the company's funding and create breathing room ahead of an anticipated arbitral judgment against them. And as a result of these delays, they have resulted in materially different timelines and materially higher costs than initially anticipated due to the need for counsel to address the allegations and delay tactics used by counterparty A. The initial legal cost estimates did not account for this tactical approach by counterparty A, and as such were materially lower than what was actually required. In our view, enforcement efforts will be necessary to enforce arbitral judgments, and as such, it will be essential to reserve sufficient funding for enforcement costs from the recovered counterparty A liquid assets to ensure the company is properly funded to enforce for scheme creditors' benefit, which is a key factor in the net recovery aspect of board decisions that the board has yet to agree on. An example of an additional scope of work is that of Flipvote. In late 2023, it became clear that Flipvote needed involved and experienced representation to prevent Flipvote from being included in a list of entities that the Enforcement Directorate of India was subsequently attempt to prosecute. This is important because should Flipvote as an entity be included in this list of entities as an accused party and have the proceeds of crime, and had its bank account balances, which are presently frozen by the ED, classified as proceeds of crime, it will materially damage the likelihood of recovery of these Flipvote balances. In order to provide the level of detailed involvement with both the ED and Flipvote's legal counsel, the company engaged a third-party advocate to represent Flipvote's case to the ED. This advocate charged $2 million for his services, which was paid in October 23, and subsequently joined the board of Flipvote as an additional director to support his representation of Flipvote. Ultimately, the objectives were clear. He aimed to ensure that Flipvote was accurately excluded from the ED's prosecution complaint as an accused party, and to ensure that the Flipvote assets frozen by the ED were not classified as proceeds of crime in the prosecution complaint. Failing to achieve this would materially impair the legal approach and likely impair over $19 million of potential recoveries. This expenditure represents an additional scope of work that was not initially forecast, but was essential and fully approved by the board at the time. Ultimately, the company, through this additional scope of work, did achieve the objectives with the involvement of the advocate and successfully preserved the company and Flipvote's ability to pursue these frozen assets for the benefit of scheme creditors. Currently, the company and Flipvote are pursuing the matter before both the AAA tribunal and in the Hyderabad court, both as a direct result of this successful outcome of this scope of work. As a third point, which was not brought up by the CEO, this is an example of when actual costs were lower than what was forecast. This is in respect of the coin loan recovery process, where the actual costs were actually materially lower than the almost $600,000 forecast in the explanatory statement. This is because what was forecast in the explanatory statement was an assumption of fees to external legal counsel to progress the coin loan recovery process, which has not been necessary because the scheme manager has, for the past 2 years, taken a position as chairman of the coin loan committee of creditors. And this has not only resulted in material cost savings for the company in this respect, it has also significantly improved recoveries from the coin loan first distribution. As a result of advice and discussions with the coin loan committee of creditors on holding crypto in its token denominations instead of liquidating it to fiat. Next category of financial matter would be direct payments made by Crow, where in recent correspondence, the CEO queried why Crow was making direct payments from various sources. And he also claimed that Crow was improperly making payment for expenses over $10,000 without seeking full board approval. Creditors would be aware of the creditor representative email to all creditors dated 24th of September, in which he made similar allegations in this regard. The scheme manager has already responded to those allegations in his email to all creditors on 26th of September. but we'll reproduce it here for reference. In respect of why Crow is making direct payments from Asset Reality in the Crow client's account, it's simply because these payments are facilitated on behalf of the company, from company assets that are held on behalf of the company by both Crow and Asset Reality, and that these payments are being made to satisfy payment obligations that have been validly incurred by the company. As such, there is no irregularity, and they are simply payments legitimately made by Crow on behalf of the company. And this is something that the CEO is already aware of, given his tenure as a board member and understanding of the internal operational processes of the business. Secondly, as for the CEO's allegation that Crow was making payment for expenses over $10,000 without seeking full board approval, there's similarly no irregularity, and explained by the scheme manager in his email on 26 September, there's no requirement under the scheme for the scheme manager to seek full board approval before incurring expenses over $10,000. All expenses incurred by the scheme manager have been properly incurred in accordance with the scheme for the benefit of the company and the scheme creditors to, among other things, pursue recovery actions in relation to the major illiquid assets, clause 8.3 of the scheme, and to engage professional advisors and consultants to aid the scheme manager in the discharge of his duties, clause 14.3D of the scheme. Other than general direct payments, the CEO has also specifically queried some specific payments made by Crow. Broadly speaking, these are addressed in the following manner. $10,000 a month, $10,000 a month Crow scheme manager invoices. These are invoices paid directly from the Crow client's account, which contains company assets held separately from Crow's operational balances to Crow for their services as scheme manager. This is an uncontroversial cost of the scheme that was clearly identified in the explanatory statement and clearly identified in every cost and budget update made to creditors since the scheme started. There's also another $9,000 a month finance support payment made to support the preparation of the company's FY23 and FY24 accounts with an ex-finance team member under a consultancy arrangement. The CR and CEO have full visibility and approved this payment structure and consultancy arrangement, which has been carried out at a significantly lower cost that would have been incurred using full service professional accounting firms. And while the work has still been completed and the draft accounts have been provided to the CR and the CEO for assessment and signing, they have yet to sign it. Earlier today, we requested an update in respect of this, given that the accounts need to be signed and filed with ICRA as soon as possible. Lastly, a $10,000 payment to an ex-employee of the company in relation to the counterparty A arbitration. This one-time payment represents remuneration to a former employee's involvement as a factual witness in the counterparty A arbitration, and it covers both the preparation and presentation of witness testimony in writing and in person. This was one of the fundamental requirements in the support of the arbitration and was necessary to support the company's claim and recovery efforts. Just to be absolutely clear, this $10,000 US $10,000 payment did not go to ex-management of the company. It went to an ex-employee of the company. A further allegation, it was in respect of inaccurate second distribution recoveries communicated to scheme creditors, and this was done in the 7th quarterly update. Your creditors who have attended the last few town halls will understand that the 7th quarterly update was prepared broadly by the scheme manager team after requesting repeatedly and not receiving sufficient input from the CR and CEO in respect of the second distribution and Fireblocks withdrawal mechanism. And as such, the scheme managers team finalized and issued a 7th quarterly update on an indicative basis with the estimate of $88.9 million for the second distribution. The CEO has specifically said that this does not accurately reflect the recoveries made. Citing that line, the company has received net illiquid asset recoveries in relation to counterparty A amounting to $70 million as being potentially inaccurate. This statement above is accurate. It is presented on a net basis and not a gross basis. This is to ensure that there's confidentiality is preserved around the proposed cost reservation quantum. The difference between net and gross is what is being reserved for cost reservation, is what is being kept back to address cost requirements. And as explained on multiple prior town halls, the scheme manager, in the scheme manager's view, it is critically important to ensure that confidentiality of the funding available to the company to progress illiquid asset recovery efforts is kept confidential from third parties. This is because publicizing the degree to which the company is funded can be materially detrimental, where adverse third parties can attempt to outspend the company if they knew how well the company is funded. Lastly, this is in relation to a query of the creditor representative in respect of a perceived retention of $500,000 from by the ex-CEO of the company, Darshan Bhattacharya. We understand that some concerns have circulated among certain groups of creditors in relation to an incomplete picture and description of this balance, which we have sought to clarify in this section of the update. Broadly speaking, the CR claimed that the ex-CEO of the company owes the company balances amounting to almost 500,000, which comprise 200,000 in USDC balances held in a Circle.com account, and an additional 17,000 of applicable interest, plus 232,000 dollars worth of further USDC balances, and an additional $18,000 of interest applicable. These numbers are not accurate. While the company did transfer 500,000 US dollars to National Circle.com account in early 2023 as part of an operational on-ramp process, 266 was returned to the company on the same day. This means that Darshan only owed the company a remainder of 233K as of the date of the CR's correspondence. This is also subsequently confirmed by the company. The company is staff itself to the CR on the same day, 26 October 25. In the first half of 2025, during the counterparty arbitration and with the benefit of legal advice taken, the scheme manager learned that Darshan also owed additional referral fees, which were paid in USDC and converted to BTC to the company in the amount of 182,000 US dollars. Adding that to the 233K means that Darshan owed the company a total of 415,000 in the first half of 2025. At the same time, the company owed Darshan $124,000 worth of invoices that were issued by Darshan to the company for finance and compliance services in the early days of the restructuring in late 2023. Netting that off, this is an owing from the company to Darshan and not from Darshan to the company. Now, in view of the overall quantum under assessments being relatively minor, and the fact that Darshan was deeply involved and integral to multiple key major illiquid asset recovery processes, such as Counterparty A, Flip Vote, and FTX, the resolution of these balances were accorded a lower priority, and we sought to tidy up and settle all the balances in one shot. And this became possible in mid-2025, following substantial progress on the Counterparty A arbitration. It became possible to resolve these outstanding balances without affecting ongoing recovery efforts. And exercising his powers under clauses 8.3 and 14 of the scheme manager on behalf of the company, entered into a settlement agreement with Darshan. And pursuant to the terms of this agreement, Darshan gave the company a 35% discount on these $124,000 invoices, reducing the amount to $81,000. And Darshan will offset this $81,000 from the $415,000 owed to the company and return $334,000 to the company. This has since been returned to the company, and of that, $182,000 has been used to pay for legal costs in the Counterparty A arbitration, leaving a sum of $152,000 available for distribution. Now, this $152,000 is not included in the second distribution because board discussion is pending in relation to this balance and its inclusion in subsequent distributions. We have come to the end of the slides. In summary, the application the application for the second distribution to be made through crypto.com is expected to be heard by the end of November. This can be faster or shorter, depending on whether there are any affidavits filed by creditors and subject to the court's availability and schedule. The scheme manager will progress discussions with crypto.com in parallel with this timeline, and will also continue to engage with the CR and CEO to see if whether the outstanding board issues can be resolved and whether the board agrees to use crypto.com. And if so, this can actually shorten the timeline to a second distribution by several weeks, given that a court process will no longer be necessary. Now, if the court process continues to be necessary, then the steps expected to take place would be subject to the application being approved by the court at end of November. In the first week of December, we'll issue the notice of the second distribution. Creditors can indicate their choice of tokens for withdrawal and to sign up for crypto.com account and complete KYC. And then they can make their choices of tokens. We'll take in the choices of tokens, and in the third week, we'll rebalance the tokens to secure the exact token balances for all creditors in the restructuring. And once these steps are complete, the second distribution is expected to commence in the fourth week of December 2025. We have come to the end of the deck of slides, just about right on schedule. We're nearing the 1 hour mark of this presentation. Before we jump over to the live Q&A, I'm just going to go through some pre-submitted questions by creditors, which were emailed to Jason and myself. First question, and please take note that the questions that are being gone through here are specifically questions that may not have been answered in the slides and this description previously. First question, could you please provide a detailed update on how assets are currently being secured and what measures are in place to protect them from market volatility or counterparty risk as the scheme proceeds? So at a high level, the fiat component of the second distribution is held on behalf of the company by Crow under segregated arrangements in the Crow client's account. This is with a major bank in Singapore. And the token component is held on behalf of the company by third-party custodian Asset Reality, also under segregated arrangements. Counterparty risk in both these cases are managed by the segregated arrangements and are bankruptcy remote. In terms of managing the market volatility, the board has agreed to hold all the token and fiat components in their current denominations, pending rebalancing, which will only happen immediately prior to the second distribution. As such, the market volatility will affect the token component. However, the fiat and stablecoin component, which accounts for most of the value of the second distribution, will remain unaffected. Next question from the same creditor. I am interested in remaining invested in the long term. For creditors who choose this option over a full cash out, what is the projected timeline for achieving full liquidity or access to our funds? At the outset, we do not recommend that creditors keep their share of distributions unwithdrawn for the long term. There's no benefit to doing so under the scheme, and creditors will not get any further upside from not withdrawing the tokens accorded to them in the respective distributions, whether it's the first distribution or the second distribution. Once the second distribution commences, we strongly encourage all creditors to actively withdraw their share of the second distribution. And this is expected if all goes according to a timeline set out earlier, before the end of the year. A question that has been submitted by a creditor. We have responded in writing, but this is an excellent question that that we are discussing here for the benefit of all creditors watching the town hall. If a creditor already has a verified account established with crypto.com, how will funds be credited and what is the process? So, excellent question. To be clear, if you already have a crypto.com account that is KYC, and even if it is set up under a different email address from what you use to register with the Vault platform, the contemplated verification processes in the proposal in the discussed approach with crypto.com will allow your crypto.com account to be linked with your Vault account. Basically, the verification processes allow allow us to match your vault account with Crypto.com's account, and this will allow your respective token share of the second distribution to be accurately credited to your Crypto.com account once it is set up. If it is already set up, that's perfectly fine, right? We have two verification processes. The first verification process is for the scheme manager, and this is, sorry, taking a step back, two verification processes, verification process 1 and verification process 2. Both are set out in the term sheet, the Crypto.com term sheet, which accompany the call application. And at a high level, verification process 1 allows the company to confirm that withdrawal requests submitted are being submitted by a legitimate creditor with an allocated share of the second distribution. And verification process 2 allows the scheme manager to check with Crypto.com to match the vault platform account of a creditor submitting his withdrawal request to the newly set up and KYC Crypto.com account by this same creditor, or alternatively, an existing and verified KYC account on Crypto.com held by that creditor. So there is a matching process which allows creditors with existing Crypto.com accounts to participate in this process as well. There's no need to set up a fresh account. There's a question here in respect of jurisdictions that are not supported by Crypto.com. Accompanying the court application, there are approximately 284 creditors out of 148,000 creditors who are from jurisdictions that are not supported by Crypto.com. We have since received queries from creditors who are from the state of New York in the United States, which is also not supported by Crypto.com. The question is, if a creditor's jurisdiction is not supported by Crypto.com, how will creditors go about withdrawing their share of the second distribution? In response to this, it will not be possible to initiate these payments via this distribution to such creditors via Crypto.com. Instead, the scheme manager is working on an alternative methodology for such creditors through a separate process of KYC and distribution, which may entail partnering with a separate service provider for both KYC and distribution. And this will be carried out on a much smaller scale, given the significantly smaller number of creditors that are not supported by Crypto.com. More information will be provided in due course in respect of this confirmed methodology once it is available. So those 4 questions were in relation to the second distribution. There is a 5th question in relation to the creditor representative. Considering the large number of creditors who have lost confidence in Damir Biltmir as creditor rep, if we are not able to replace him, are we able to add a second creditor representative position to improve transparency in communication? If so, what would the process for that look like? At the outset, the scheme doesn't provide for such a mechanism, and as such, an application will have to be made to the court if such a mechanism is contemplated, and we are looking to put into place such a mechanism. The court is also likely to require that an attempt be made to resolve this issue via the specified methodology in the scheme, which is to remove the CR via a scheme creditors meeting. This is not a priority right now because the priority at present is to ensure that second distribution can be carried out as quickly, as securely, as compliantly, and at scale as fast as possible. However, this is something that can be considered in the future. And thank you for the submission of this query. Okay, we have come to the end of the list of pre-submitted questions. And before we move into the final segment of the town hall, which is live Q&A, just a couple of key points. You'll be let in 1 to 3 at a time from the waiting room. When you come into the waiting room, please exit the YouTube link, and as that will cause echo, and you may unmute yourselves and ask questions when directed. Shall we let the first few individuals in the waiting room in, please? Greg,
Hey,
MJ, Sean.
yeah, hey guys. Unmute and fire away. Sure. Oh,
Hi,
MJ, there you
Jason.
go. Hey, MJ, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Um, I had a few questions. I know George updated that um, the the assets are, kept in crypto as well as fiat, which are eligible for second distribution. So I understand a part of it is in USDC, but what's the market risk of the other tokens? Can that significantly impact the amount that you have
Yeah,
proposed for the net distribution?
yeah, I think we last time gave a rough guide on that, George, as to
Y-
how much was in crypto.
Yes. Depending on the prices, approximately, I think it was 25% to 33% is in crypto. The rest of it is in USDC.
Yeah,
And in
But
terms of
what
of crypto at MJ, we're not talking about altcoins here. We're talking about mainstream coins. Top 10
you, you
top 10 by capitalization.
I assume it is a mix of BTC, ETH, XRP, something like that.
That's right.
Okay. So we do have significant risk, right? Let's say, this US stock market falls by 50% and crypto market also craters. We have a market risk.
yes, there is some market risk in that.
Okay. Uh, Regarding the hearing for the court application, so is this my understanding correct that the hearing would be similar to how it was handled during the moratorium as well as um, you know the scheme approval process, that creditors will be able to attend that court hearing?
Yeah, I think so. But that's one thing that we'll find out on the 28th, which is the case conference hearing. The judge will set out the procedure and timeline going forward. But it's not uncommon in these types of crypto matters that the judge does allow creditors to attend.
Okay. So just heads up in this regard, since this process is a very time-consuming process, we might have to think early next year in case we have to extend the scheme beyond the 3 years, that we, you know, set up an application well before, uh, so that the hearing can happen before the scheme ends.
I don't think we need the board can do that, right, George? Yeah, the board can extend the scheme, I think 1 year at a time, MJ.
Oh, you don't need to go to the court for that?
Yeah.
Okay, got you. Thanks for clarifying. And I have a general question regarding the responses you gave to the CEO and the CR about the expenses. So what's the approval process? I mean, who has the authority to approve an expense? I thought it was a board decision. Why is there like a query that why these expenses were approved by Kroll?
George, you want to take that?
Yes. I think MJ, the main question thing that the CEO was trying to make in his point is that basically if you want to approve an expense over $10,000, you need the full board approval for that specific expense. That's not actually what the scheme says. The scheme specifically says that if you want to increase the cost reserve, the $10 million cost reserve by more than $10,000, then that's a decision that needs full board approval. So if you increase it from 10 million to 10.5 million, that's something that requires for full board approval. So from an operational perspective, the costs that have been incurred with in the course of the restructuring that have been discussed amongst the board. Now, this has become more and more difficult over time, with the breakdown in communications among board members. So in more recent times, it has been more challenging to discuss those. However, ultimately, directors of the company are authorized to represent the company and to incur appropriate costs in relation to the restructuring. Now, the keyword is appropriate, right? And appropriateness, in our view, would be tied to the responsibilities of each of the board members. The CEO runs the operations of the company. The CR is a creditor representative, and the scheme manager takes on the responsibility for overseeing the implementation of the scheme. And in fact, the scheme manager's responsibilities are set out more clearly than any other board members in the scheme itself. So to the extent that the scheme manager has approved any payments, these are done with reference to the scheme manager's main responsibility, which is in respect of the major illiquid assets. Counterparty A, flip vote, coin loan, FTX. This is set out in the scheme. I believe it is clause 8.3. And also with in respect of other authorizations surrounding the scheme manager's ability to approve the cost of third-party consultants, legal advisors, and other expert advice to aid the scheme manager. So to answer your question with reference to other parties, for example, if the CEO wants to approve an operational expense, that's something that's within his authorization as well.
No, but I understand the scheme manager has the authority under the scheme, but wouldn't the scheme manager bring those expenses to the board meetings to share and
Yes.
get the approval?
Yeah, and technically it's not required under the scheme, MJ, is what George was explaining. But throughout the whole course of this scheme, that's exactly what has happened, is that all of these various expenditures have been brought to the board for consideration and approval. Recently, that hasn't been possible, right? But over the course of the 2 years, it happened the entire time.
Okay. So the expenses related to the flip vault and the CPA that are being questioned are the recent expenses, not
No,
the past.
no, past.
That's where I'm having the confusion, that if they were already communicated and agreed upon, why are they questioning now?
That's exactly the point, MJ.
Okay. And in regard to that, you put some color around the expenses for preparing the accounts for fiscal 23-24. You
Yeah,
mentioned something like $9,000 per month. How many months are we talking about?
2, maybe 3.
I think it's three or four, Jason.
3 or 4. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and we utilized one of the former employees who was capable of helping us and had access to some of that information. We went out and got quotes from accounting firms to do the same job, and they were substantially higher than that.
So this is a former Vault employee?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was the most efficient way to get it done.
So what's the plan for the future?
Much in the same way, I think.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I missed that.
I mean, it wouldn't take probably in the same way, MJ.
Okay.
I mean, it was not a straightforward exercise. I think George set out some of the complications of how do you treat some of the things that happened in the scheme in the accounts of the company. Basically, it is not straightforward. So it took a fair bit of effort to get it done for the period that the scheme happened, and there were the first RDA and various other things were relatively complicated from an accounting perspective.
I understand. I have accounting background, so I understand. Okay, so in regard to that, since we are talking about ex-Vault employees, you mentioned about paying 10,000 to another employee for in-person presentation in the arbitration.
Yeah, he was a witness.
So he had to fly to Hong Kong. And are
Yes,
these arbitration hearings happening in person, not on like online Zoom call?
in person.
Let me handle this
Yeah.
this aspect, Jason. Yeah, MJ. So this the without going into too much detail, witness uh the witness role can be done either in person or via Zoom, effectively via video conference. The witness preparation involved an affidavit, uh, an affidavit uh, presented by the factual witness who was the ex-employee. In this case, to reduce costs as much as possible. For this specific witness, we requested and granted we requested and were granted the ability to have him testify via video link instead of in person, which allowed us to keep the cost down.
Okay, so the cost was just mainly the legal affidavit filing cost was $10,000.
Time and compensation for it took a significant amount of time, MJ, to
Oh, okay.
sit him down, get him to provide to work with our lawyers, to put down his witness testimony on paper, and also for his time to present his witness testimony via video link.
Okay, understood. Okay, I understand. I've been involved in other arbitration. I understand. Um, so one quick question about the CPA amount. Seems like the CEO and the CR are not aware of the amount received from CPA, or are they aware? Because there's confusion about the net and the gross amount.
They are aware. We have discussed this in detail with them.
Okay, and one final question about Darshan, the 500K math that was explained by you, George. What was the CPA referral fees in that discussion?
The referral fee was in respect of. I'm going to be careful with what I say here, MG, because this relates to CPA. So you will forgive me for the way I explain it. The referral fee had to do with balances deposited with counterparty A during the operational costs of the vault business. Pre-restructuring, of course.
Are you telling me this is like a kickback that these firms give like a bonus when I
Yeah,
open an account at crypto.com?
yeah, it's a referral fee for doing business with them.
Okay, got you. And what was the interest component? How come we were liable for an interest charge?
There is no interest charge.
No,
No, there was a component, if I saw the slide correctly in the calculation, there was some 18K of interest amount.
I understand what you're talking about, MJ. Let me just flash it up on screen so it's easier to clarify.
Yeah.
Give me a minute, pulling it back up.
Sure. Thank you.
Let me know when you can see my screen, please.
Yeah.
You're referring to this 18K, right?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the CR's position. He thinks, well, he thought in late August when he put the question to the scheme manager team that Darshan owed the company, basically, if you add these two numbers together, 432K of USDC balances, and an additional 35K of interest. We don't know where he got these interest numbers from. To the best of our knowledge, there's no applicable interest in any form of documentation associated with these USDC balances. As such, we believe that his claim is inaccurate, because ultimately the only number that is actually relevant in this section of the slide is this 232, which is actually 233. And that has since been returned back to the company.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for the clarification.
You're welcome.
Thanks, MJ. Sean, you had your hand up first, I think.
Yeah. How you doing, Jason?
I'm okay, thanks. Oh, crypto.com.
Oh, baby.
There you go.
Hey, it's, hopefully creditors realize, especially United States creditors, how compliant they are, regulation friendly. And I've been with them for a long time, really strong company. So I do think trust issue wise, it's going to make things a lot simpler, And
Yeah.
what I like about crypto.com is from the time you guys sign the contract and they initiate custody, we're protected. They got insurance and everything, so we're protected. So I think that's a good call. I mean, hopefully I'd like to see the CR and CEO agree with you, come together so we can avoid going to the moratorium court. But we can just wish for that. My question comes with crypto.com, like as an ICY holder, like a $50,000 Crow stake, I get paid up to $200 per referral. Now, I know with us, you said 30 to 35,000 creditors that are going to be doing withdrawals. Let's just say 10,000 of them, or, United States going with crypto.com, based on just $150 referral fee, that's $1.5 million. Is there any way to ensure when you set out the issue of notice that the link for crypto.com will be accreditors only? I mean, I don't want to use my link to get people. I want the creditors all to benefit for what we're sending over to crypto.com. And $1.5 million, roughly, if that's the way it works out, can pay for a lot of legal fees. So I'd like this, just make sure, maybe when you send out, get a special link that benefits all creditors, so that money can be used to support legal fees or whatever it needs to be done.
That's a terrific suggestion. We will take that up with crypto.com. It hasn't been a part of the discussion. I wasn't aware of the referral fee you're talking about, but we had baked into the agreement at the moment that the transfers are free and creditors would get a period to trade without fees being incurred, which was effectively payment to us for the referrals. But I think we can add this into the mix and see if we can't convince them to give us something.
Yeah, because I mean, you figure, let's just say $70 million is going to be transferred on their platform, and crypto.com is real hungry to get this, benefits them. So the money's already in their marketing to pay it to us. So I think
that's really helpful, Sean. Really helpful. We'll pick that up with them.
Yeah, and then the other thing too is when I look at the actions of just any business, the CR and the CEO, they're totally in dereliction of duty. I mean, they're not communicating. They're in violation of the scheme. My thing is, Kroll is this big, huge global company. They defamed you. They totally slandered your company. Do you think the threats of you guys, not the threats, but the initiation of actually suing both of them, could help them come to a moment of Jesus going, hey, listen, let's just let's do what's right for the creditors and just get this scheme over?
I don't think so. I think they just don't appear to be acting rationally. You may not have seen it yet, but I was just forwarded an email from the CEO, Malcolm, saying, we're open for withdrawals. We think our platform's better. We can do it now. Why wait? That's just completely ignoring the issues that have been raised and that they need to address, so that it's safe, secure withdrawal can be done. They paid thousands of dollars to some developers in Vietnam. I mean, how can we be comfortable that there's not backdoors in there that put creditors' funds at risk? If we're going to do an audit that will take a lot of money and time. So I agree with you. I think they are in breach of their duties. We've given them every opportunity to step up and give us information just to work with them. We've now given them the opportunity to, and the information to be able to just say, okay, this does make sense. We should do it. And now they've come out with an email that says, no, ours is better. It just doesn't make sense.
To me, one of the benefits, what makes blockchain amazing is when you don't have to look underneath the hood. And when we employ crypto.com, all that's taken care of.
Yeah. And it cost them hundreds of millions to develop that infrastructure, and, which we get the benefit of.
And plus, the other thing too is one of the responsibilities tasked to both the CEO and the creditors representative was setting this up, and they already lost us $300,000. I wish we could claw this back from their salaries.
Yeah, and a lot of time and pain, frankly. Yeah, I wish we could too. We haven't taken step. I know a lot of creditors want us to stop paying them, but they have a contract. We still have hope that they would come back and say, you know what, fair enough, this does make sense, let's do it, and that'll save creditors time and money. So, shortly we're probably at the point where that's no longer tenable. But we have been hoping, like you have, that we could breach that impasse and make things happen faster.
Yeah, I really just think, we're over the top of the hill. We're on the way down. I see a lot of benefits with just getting that initial payment from CPA. The rest is just timing and cruise control with legal. I really don't see the need. We've been operating without a CEO or creditors representative for at least 6 months. So hopefully in the court, if they force you go to a court, I know distribution first, but man, if we can cut them loose, that would be great.
Look, if they don't start doing their jobs, then that's what will happen.
Great. Okay, well, listen, I appreciate your time. I'm going to let everybody else get in, but great decision with crypto.com.
Thanks, Sean. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Hi, Greg. You've got your hand up.
Hi, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, thanks for taking my questions today. I got 3 for you. Are any other entities involved in the crypto.com distribution? And if so, how much would they be charging us? And are we able to see that contract? Can we view that and review it?
George, help me out with the detail, but I mean, there is a subsidiary of crypto.com involved, yes. That has been named in court.
Yeah, there's the subsidiary that we'll be working with has been named in court. It's a Singapore entity, but depending on where each creditor is actually located, which jurisdiction they're in, crypto.com will use a specific different entity of theirs to effect that transfer, the distribution to those creditors. And broadly speaking, the charges that will be applicable on withdrawals and trading will be basically standard crypto.com, albeit we have, as Jason mentioned earlier, negotiated for discounts on the trading and withdrawal fees, which allows benefit of this crypto.com partnership to accrue directly to creditors instead of the company.
Oh, okay, thanks, George.
Yeah, so we're not paying them. They're effectively paying us by giving us some discounts and free distribution. Sean's point's a good one. I mean, we'll ask that question commercially. Can we improve it? We'll see, but it might be a bit late in the day for that. The term sheet that we have, George, that was appended to the court up. We had that term sheet, Greg, that is appended to the court application as well, where you can review that.
Okay. Appreciate that.
That is non-binding. Yeah, we're still doing some diligence, so it might change. We're waiting for a little bit more information from them. We're a week or 2 away from finalising that process. We'll probably turn it into a binding agreement at that point. I don't think you should expect it to be
much different.
much more than what it currently is. Yeah.
Okay, understood. Okay, cool. Yeah, and I was researching on Google and I noticed that crypto.com, they also use Fireblocks. And I was just kind of wondering, why would their implementation be safer than the one that the CEO and the CR were working on?
Yeah, I'll take that one. Fireblocks is pretty industry standard, right, Greg? Fireblocks, Copper, these guys are, and BitGo, these guys are used the world around for custody solutions and hot wallet solutions. We're not doubting Fireblocks can do the job. This is the product that they sell globally. What we are unsure of is the way that it has been integrated with the Vault platform. We are also accordingly unsure of the Vault platform itself. The way that the Fireblocks integration has been fixed into the Vault platform via a group of very low cost developers out of Vietnam is cause for concern, particularly in the context of historical security breaches, one of which was a direct result of issues with developer access. All of these are very issues that we have sought to get some comfort on from the CR and the CEO. We have basically asked them questions on how did you vet these guys? What protections did you put in place to ensure that the code is safe, the administrative access was appropriately granted, revoked? How can we be clear that the historical issues with security in the Vault platform and in the integration with Fireblocks is not going to crop up again and put creditor funds at risk? Now, they have not been able to provide substantive answers in respect of these questions. And combine that with the inability to explain in any substantive form the ability to carry out large-scale KYC and also to be compliant from a distribution perspective. They're just not comfortable with carrying out the second distribution via their platform, given the numerous risks involved. And we do think that's why Crypto.com makes a lot more sense.
I understand. Yeah, I guess this kind of goes back to the fact that there was a security breach earlier with a few 100,000 that had been stolen. And I was also wondering if was there any attempt to go after the people that took that money, and do we know who it was? How hard would it be to track that down?
There certainly was, and we had our own Kroll investigative team look into that, but we couldn't accurately identify the culprit or avenues to recover, unfortunately.
Okay. Thanks again. Last question I have is, if the holdback amount for the second distribution, if we don't need that for whatever reason for the enforcement efforts, would we be able to recover that amount in full, or
100, yeah,
some other use for that?
No, 100%, yeah. And depending upon timing here, I mean, the FTX recovery is still pending KYC, but this is all scenarios, right? But assuming we get a judgment and CPA pays us immediately, we've done the second distribution, but then we get more money in, and we no longer need to hold anything back. Then you get paid that money immediately.
Okay, great. That'll do it. I appreciate your time. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, no problem. Sean or MJ? Joel, how many others are in the waiting room? I think you can let everybody in, by the way.
Yeah, I just wanted to say real quick, for people wondering with crypto.com, and that, yes, they use Fireblocks, but you got to remember crypto.com is also the off-ramp itself, where what the CEO and CR were going to do, it's just setting up a withdrawal mechanism, but it doesn't necessarily get you a fiat off-ramp. In America, they use Community Federal Bank, and this allows you to do, basically, you can do FedWire, you can do ACH, you can do direct wire. It's a real simple, very straightforward process. It's like sending from one bank account to your bank account, because you're going to have a bank account in your name. So it's definitely going to help expedite things. That's all I wanted to say.
Thanks, Sean. MJ?
Yeah, I had a real quick question. I just checked my email. The
Yeah.
CEO just sent out an email So I wanted to get quick thought on what will happen. Looks like this matter might get fought in court, and we might need a third party evaluator to.
Yeah, he did send an email. I've just glanced at it, but it just reads like propaganda and defending their platform, but without addressing any of the queries that have been raised at all. I mean, the one very obvious one there is he says you don't need to do any KYC. MJ, you know that's not true. Like after 2 years, you absolutely have to do KYC. And any major event actually would require a fresh KYC or sanction checks. There's a range of issues. This is just one example from the questions that we've been asking that we haven't been able to get answers to. So that email reads like a bold assertion that trust me, it's fine, and you can have your money quicker. Just go with us. But there's no substance behind it. So insofar as the court application goes, the judge will see straight through that. It could cause some delay, but the judge, I forget the term you used there, MJ, but the judge will be the arbiter, basically, about how to make the distribution here. And I'd be confident with the decision that they would be likely to make in the circumstances. If they go to the trouble of submitting affidavits, that could cause some delay because the judge would then say, okay, you've now got 10 days to file a reply, and then they've got another 10 days to file a reply and things like that. So it could draw it out. But that would be, I would be surprised because unless they're going to provide all the answers to the questions that have been asked, then it will only be wasting time, which would be really unfortunate for creditors if that's what occurs. Hopefully, creditors don't submit affidavits. The CR and the CEO, they can send emails like that all day, but if they don't turn up in court and submit substantive affidavits to justify why their mechanism is more efficient and better and safe and secure and scalable, then all it's going to do is waste time. But the judge will be the arbiter, effectively.
But can't the CEO and the CR in their capacity also file an affidavit?
Yeah, they can.
Right.
They can.
Okay.
I hope
And
they don't.
just clarify to me why the KYC is required. Is it because of the scheme, or I mean,
No,
normally
it's just standard MAS guidelines for KYC in crypto. Standard best practice in Singapore and in most jurisdictions is that after a reasonably lengthy period of time, you need to re-KYC. But in particular, if there's a material event, you would need to KYC. And this undoubtedly is a material event for Volt. And 2 years has lapsed since distributions were made previously. And so the company absolutely needs to re-verify who it's sending the money to.
okay. Thank you.
No problem. Sean? Are you going to say something
Yeah,
helpful again?
Yeah, I just think it's interesting. The whole challenge of this is the refusal of the CR and CEO to communicate. And strategically, they wait right till you get to your town hall and you start talking to
Right in
send
the
out
middle.
this email. And from the time it took him to orchestrate that email, the CEO could have been on here and we could have been resolving this right here.
Addressing
It's just,
questions,
it's
providing
sad.
information. Yeah, it's very frustrating. Agreed.
Yeah, I wish you would come online, talk to all of us.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. I don't want to pronounce this wrong. Lusa, do you have a question for us? Oh, Jay Kumar, you had your hand up.
Hey, hi there. You can
Hi.
hear me okay?
Yes, yep, clearly.
All right. First things first. Looks like the KYC is broken on the tool. Not sure what is wrong. I tried multiple times, so every man for himself, right? I mean, the KYC is not working, and I don't know who should I be reporting to. And even in the previous town hall meetings, I noticed that there were other creditors who happened to report the same. So, is there anything that is being done in particular to answer and address all these?
If things go according to the plan we put forward tonight, then you'll need to redo KYC with crypto.com if you don't already have an account there. And that will be a much smoother process, I'm sure.
Sorry if I got you correctly. Are you saying we are gonna go with crypto.com? Is that for sure, or because from what I read, the CEO, yeah,
it's not for sure. We've made an application to court for the court to grant me the power to make the distribution through crypto.com. I expect the court to grant that. I don't think the Vault platform is capable of making the distribution. Yes, I saw that email, but that's nothing other than a bare assertion that they can do it, and it doesn't address the detailed questions and concerns that we have.
All right.
So, yeah,
but I'm still not sure when this is going to go live. But for the interim, can we make sure something is done for the KYC part?
Well, there's no point.
Should I be reaching out to someone in particular?
You can reach out to Malcolm, the CEO, if you like, but honestly, I don't think I'd waste your time, because until it's clarified by the court, Malcolm can't, the company can't make a distribution. They don't have the money, and I haven't approved it. They cannot do it. And I'm going to court.
I'm sorry, I'm still getting confused because I didn't know that the distribution required a court's approval, right? Was that by a clause?
The distribution requires the unanimous approval of the board. We haven't been able to get that in respect of certain matters. So that's why I have to go to court now to get the court to sanction me to make the distribution, because I haven't been able to get the approval of the CR and the CEO. They can't make the distribution because I'm certainly not going to give my approval for it to be made through their platform unless they can answer the questions that I've asked them about its security, its scalability, and its safety.
Well, the first distribution went just fine, wasn't it?
Yep, it did.
So why should we delay till December?
Okay, because we've had security breaches since then. The world has moved a lot further in respect of security of the platform. Platform doesn't appear to have been appropriately maintained during that period by the management. And the way that it has been fixed is by a couple of Vietnamese developers being paid a few $1,000s to rewrite the code. How do we know that that code hasn't got a backdoor and been set up to take your $70 million as soon as we try to make the distribution? Do you feel comfortable with that risk? I don't.
Certainly not. But at the same time, the distribution being pending for a couple more months, and even the KYC not being processed, and considering the markets may fall, I doubt whether we would get the full benefit of the market and our coins. That's my prime concern.
It's currently predominantly sitting about 75% in USDC or fiat, with about a quarter of it sitting exposed to the market until we can make the distribution. So there is some market exposure. I think the KYC will be a lot quicker and more efficient with crypto.com when we are able to use it. All right, thank you, Jai. Robert?
Hi, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, so I have a couple of things I want to clarify for the record. You, so far today, you've said it before, but it's very clear today that the CEO and the CR are not doing their job whatsoever. They're actually hindering you from doing the job you need to do. Yet you seem still today somewhat hesitant to do something about it. You even imply that for the last 6 months, you agree they're not really helping us. They're not benefiting the creditors, not going along with what it needs to be done for creditors, and you continue to be hesitant about it. Why is it that you continue to give the benefit of the doubt to a CEO that has clearly demonstrated and you publicly acknowledge that has not performed to his duties and his job for the last 6 months?
I haven't said 6 months, but it's been abundantly clear for, since August that is the case. And I've been taking steps since then to fix things. The reason that I have not yet taken steps to remove the CEO or convene the meeting for the creditor rep is because it is within their power to turn around tomorrow and say, okay, you know what? Crypto.com sounds like a good idea. Thank you for explaining it. And we're making a distribution to you on Friday, Robert, rather than waiting 2 months.
What are the consequences for these people of the sabotage that they're being performing? No consequences because now they change their mind and move forward. I mean, they're sending out an email while you are trying to communicate with us, something that they have on purpose avoid to do for all this time. So this is a pure sabotage that they're doing. And so if they come back tomorrow, oh, everything is okay. I don't think so. It's not okay.
Well, it would benefit creditors by getting money back to them quicker and cheaper. Whatever transgressions have occurred by them, they can always be held accountable in the future if such transgressions are able to be prosecuted. I'm not saying there are, and I'm not saying that I will, but whatever they have done doesn't change the fact that they can be.
How do you plan on answering? I hope it be publicly to the email they just sent, because it really disagree with what you are saying. Even all the numbers they're using are different to the numbers you are sharing with us. So for creditors is a total disaster right now. I mean, we were confused to begin with. Now this is just really sabotage of confusion. Moreover, they're censoring some of the immediate feedback that is happening on the Telegram channel. People is asking questions and the message are being deleted right now in front of everyone. And nothing continues to be done about the censorship. People still not being given access. We still being blocked. I personally have been blocked for months with an account that I only posted one time, and I posted words. I didn't posted a link. I didn't insulted anyone. They just did not like the handle name I had in my account, and they blocked my account. No respect whatsoever for creditors in any way or form over there. And now a direct sabotage to what you are trying to do and to even these meetings that are trying to happen. People that have been absent, not answering any emails, any questions, anything whatsoever for months. And now they are communicating with us and sending us emails and wanting to do something. You giving them yet one more month. It's been about a month since we talked last. You give them then the benefit of the doubt. Here we are today. We only wasted more time and more money, and we still gonna give them the benefit of the doubt. I mean, how much longer? What else will it need to take?
I think that time is shortening rapidly when they're sending out emails like that, and they've now clearly indicated that they won't support crypto.com. So leave it with me, Robert. Do you have any other questions?
No, thank you.
Yeah, thanks very much. Lusa, you have a question?
Perhaps I might have a question, Jason.
Sure.
I might say, is there
Yeah,
something you could do to stop this sabotage? I mean, or the control over that Vault channel that obviously is not been doing what you advocated publicly that should happen. You have advocated in the past that the censorship should end,
Yeah.
and it obviously hasn't, and it continues.
I think that can happen if the CEO is removed from his position. Very likely.
As I was looking at his messages on the Vault channel right now, given the messages he sent, because he sent that email, but also he sent the same message on the Telegram platform, it leads me to believe that he right there was the one censoring people, you know?
I think
I don't know,
right.
that's just an opinion. So then how much longer we going to have somebody that joined the party late and is making this a worse disaster than what already was?
Yeah, I think that's a step too far. I think if he's removed, then there'd be some remaining employees who administer it that would very likely take my direction.
How soon could this happen?
If I decided to do it tomorrow, it would still take a little bit of time. There's a process.
What would it take for you? What would it take for you to make that decision?
I've explained that already earlier, Robert, that I have still been giving them an opportunity. We gave them the crypto.com information about the same time or just before we issued this update to creditors for them to consider and revert. They haven't considered and reverted. And in fact, now the CEO has come out and said,
he just responded to you, basically.
Yeah. So it's just
I'm not going to accept it. Right. Yeah, it just happened. So can we tomorrow move forward with that answer? Them saying, no, Robert, we are not going to accept?
I'll take it under advisement tomorrow and I'll discuss it with my counsel and then I'll make a decision.
Thank you.
All right. Are there any other questions from the group here?
A request, if I may, lastly, I'm sorry.
Sure.
Please, in future meetings like this one, don't treat us like little kids. Let us access the meeting all together at once. I think it's not respectful that you let us only one or two at a time. Look at how respectful this meeting has been. Nobody has talked over anybody. We've been even raising our hands to wait our turn to speak. And it's very courteous. I think we need to be treated respectfully and allowing us to enter the room all at once. I think has been demonstrated more than once already. Yeah, and I think that we need to be treated fairly here. I don't like the way this is being done up to this point and even in the past. I think it should be done differently, and it should be fair to turn live both platforms. Whoever don't have the need to turn in a question, they will join via YouTube and they will be happy. For those of us that want to ask questions, then you already know it creates problems of background noise or echoing from the other YouTube channel, but we need to be in both because we want to listen to what you say, yet we want to ask questions at the end.
Sure.
I mean, come on, let us just join the platform we choose to do. Let us be in there, and unless we act in a disrespectful and improper manner, then please at that point sanction it. But I don't think you have any proof that we've done any of stuff like that. Thank you, and I'm done now. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Robert. MJ.
Yeah, I just want to follow up on the thread that Robert was talking about the CEO.
Yeah.
I'm at a loss, Jason, to understand who is the company here. What I mean by that is, I understand we have 3 board of directors, and there are certain guidelines under the scheme for the creditor representative, but we also have contracts, which I call employee contracts with the CR and the CEO as employees, and they have grossly, violated their employee contract. So who has the authority to remove them from the job? You know what I mean? There have been
No, I do.
violation of security, and we have lost funds. In normal circumstances, the companies I have worked at, an employee would be fired immediately.
Yeah. I mean,
Let me take that one, Jason.
Yeah, sure, George.
Yeah. So for the CR and so we have three board members, right, MJ? We've got the CR, CEO, and SM. For the CR and CE and SM, it is fairly straightforward because the ability to remove the CR and the SM are clearly set out as terms of the scheme. The removal will require effectively either an order of court or a scheme creditors meeting passing a special resolution. Now, for the CEO, that's a separate question because the mechanism for removal of the CEO is not set out inside the scheme. Instead, the mechanism for removal of the CEO is set out inside the CEO's contract, which was appended to the court application filed last week. So there's a list of mechanisms that can be undertaken to remove the CEO. But it is not in the scheme, it's inside the contract.
George, I've gone through all that, trust me. So I've seen there is a similar deed with the CR where there are definite guidelines for how he should be operating. So I see, I mean, no proper hierarchy in which it would follow, but I would say the company has the ultimate authority for any violation. I don't think the scheme arrangement follows, supersedes that. If somebody has done a fraud or
No, the
a company
scheme
has lost,
the scheme
you know,
supersedes it, MJ.
huh?
The scheme trumps the contract.
No, but come on,
the company only operates because of scheme of arrangement. Until the scheme of arrangement ends, then it goes back to a normal operating company.
But who is the human resource department here who would fire the employee? I understand that he's a creditor representative, but here there are funds being lost and they should be held accountable as employees of DeFi payments. You see where I'm going?
Yeah, of course. It's probably I mean, the CEO more than the creditor for that responsibility under their contracts. But it happened fairly shortly after the transition from the old CEO as well. So, yeah, difficult to attribute real blame or loss to an individual at the time.
Yeah, I'm just highlighting one of the points. There are several other points in the deed I've been looking at, and there is a lot of violation as an employee of DeFi payments. There's another contract, George, if you're not familiar with it, which was also filed as part of the affidavit. I've gone through that as well. So I'm trying to understand that according to me, the company has the authority to fire the employee.
The company,
and I'm trying to understand who is the company here.
The company operates through its board of directors.
Yeah, so that's the problem. If the board of directors are doing the wrong things, how does one get out of that and fire the board of directors?
You go to court, basically.
Okay. And when you say you, meaning the creditors have to go to the court?
Well, you can leave that with me for now, right? We're already in court.
Okay, got you. And
yes,
one follow-up question I have about, you seem to be mentioning that, you know, we need to put aside funds for CPA enforcement.
Yeah.
So what is making you so sure? What has changed since, you know, over the several months you were saying that we might have to put, and now you are saying we have to put. So what has that made you change that decision?
No, it's not a change in decision. I've said consistently from basically the start of the scheme and seeing counterparty A's behavior, but in particular their behavior in the arbitration, that it was always going to be likely that they would make us work for that money, even if we get a favorable judgment, and it would require enforcement action. Whether we need that money remains to be seen, right? We might not win. B, we might win and they might pay. It's only in C, therefore it's a may. We may need the money, where we have to take those steps to enforce that we do need it. But I've always said we must retain money in case we do need to take that enforcement action. Nothing's really changed.
Yeah, but now that you are making a firm commitment to keep the money aside, is it just based on the previous outlook, or is there
Yeah.
something?
No, nothing insane. Nothing particular has changed that has caused me to keep more money or do anything different. I'm just doing the same thing that I always thought was necessary.
Got you. Okay. And I have a few questions on the flip vault. Do we have any update on, I believe there were some recent hearings going on.
You're going to get really mad when you hear this. Can we do that one in a minute? And I just let Tapan ask a question. He's had his hand up for a while.
Sure.
Tapan, ask away.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah. So basically, first of all, happy Diwali from
Yes.
our side.
Happy
And
Diwali, Tapan. I'm sorry we had it at this time.
yeah, it's not a good time. But the thing is, I like this is the second time I'm doing this, and the first time I asked you two questions about. Uh, I have a few family members who relied on me and opened their account in Vault. The KYC problem still persists. I've been trying it for the last 2 years. I talked like when the scheme started. Uh, for that, a few people have asked the questions, and I would like to have a better clarification from Vault and from you. And the second question I'll ask after this thing that you can clear out.
George, is Tapan familiar to you?
Sorry?
Have you raised this? I'm just asking George, who works with me, if your name is familiar to him. Have you raised this directly with George and myself?
KYC was done with the name of Vandana Meena. She's my sister.
Okay.
So she has sent a few emails and everything with the documents. Thank you.
Okay. Can I just suggest you have her resend that to me and George, Tapan?
Okay. Yeah, surely I'll do that.
Then we'll have it, and then I can actually, I'll just check, and we can send you an email response.
Thank you, sir. Okay, that thing is done. Now, sir, regarding the things that I am not pretty much clear about it, that if I have a certain amount of Bitcoin and Ethereum earlier involved, I uh, I never knew like it was blocked or something until and unless I got an email of the scheme. Then I talked to you that if I in 2023 I asked you the same question, that if I have a certain amount of Bitcoin and Ethereum and I wait till the end of the scheme because I want to retain 100% of my whatever the price could be. Like if I have 0.5 Bitcoin and 0.5 Ethereum, I want that 100% 0.5 Bitcoin and 0.5 Ethereum. Is it viable for me to stick till the end and not withdraw anything till the end of the scheme so that I get 100% of it? Or should I
No,
take
I'll
out?
let George.
Yeah.
We get it.
I'll take that one. Tapan, the only thing that is driving recoveries to creditors going forward is recoveries of illiquid assets. So basically, once we sell, we've gotten some illiquid assets that will be shortly made available for second distribution, right? From the counterparty A and coin loan. That is what's funding the recoveries to creditors. When they are available for distribution and creditors can withdraw them, you should withdraw them because keeping them on the platform is not going to improve your recovery, your recoveries ultimately. Let's say as a result of the second distribution, you're allocated 1 Bitcoin, right? You can withdraw 1 Bitcoin and withdrawals open. If you keep the one Bitcoin on the platform, and assuming we have no further recoveries from anyone else until the end of the scheme, all you're going to get back is 1 Bitcoin. It doesn't increase because you kept it on the platform. If you withdrew it immediately and put that 1 Bitcoin into a cryptocurrency exchange or cold storage that you typically use, it's still your 1 Bitcoin. The difference is that it's not on the Vault platform, it's with you, and you can deploy it in what way that you want. So we do not recommend that you keep tokens, that any creditor keep their share of distributions unwithdrawn on the platform. To the extent that the distributions are made and withdrawals are available, we highly recommend that you take them off platform. And
So
of course, If you have any subsequent allocations from subsequent recoveries, that'll go to you as well. And we recommend that you take it off the platform when withdrawals are available.
So, there's one more follow-up question. If I have like one Bitcoin and I haven't done the first withdrawal yet, I haven't put up the request. So now I'm thinking like if I put the first request and the second request in December, what I have understood through all the world Telegram and a few other emails and everything, because I'm not able to like communicate on Telegram. I'm not that active in it. So if I withdraw a certain amount right now, and in the second withdrawal I do the certain amount, they are saying that in those way I would be in prorated withdrawal. Then will I get like the 85%? They say the maximum I'll get is 85% of the withdrawal. That's what my thing, like my understanding was through all those things. If I stay, I'll get 100%. If I start withdrawing at these withdrawals, I'll get 85% of my funds. That's what my understanding was.
Tapan, just correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you'll be mixing up the recoveries from Vault with recoveries from another restructuring. There's no 85% in this case.
Okay.
But I'm not going to talk about the other restructuring. I'm going to talk about Vault. You don't get more from keeping it on the platform. Let's say your share of the first distribution is 1 BTC and your share of the second distribution is 2 BTC, right?
Okay.
And there are no future recoveries, which means that 3 BTC is all you're ever going to get from the Vault. If you keep it on platform, you still get 3 BTC. You don't get any more. There's no improvement. So you may as well withdraw it.
The only confusion, Tapan, might have been the first distribution that we did. There was a reverse Dutch auction where you could withdraw all of your money at a price.
Yeah.
Or you could stay and then collect and participate in the liquid recoveries over time and therefore potentially get more. Yeah. So maybe that's what is confusing.
So there's prorated. So there was RDA that was like at a rate you can withdraw your money, like 50%, 60%. There was prorated, and then there is variable.
Variable track, yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I opted for, like variable. So I thought that in variable, I have to stick till the last to get the 100%, and prorated is like first withdrawal, second withdrawal, third withdrawal. That was my way of going it. So that was basically it.
Let me clarify that for you, Tapan. If you can withdraw all the tokens that are allocated to you in the distributions, right? If you withdraw it and there are subsequent RDAs that are carried out because there are to accompany subsequent distributions, and you don't participate in those RDAs and you continue to stay, as a result of those RDAs, your share in the next in the third distribution, maybe the fourth distribution, those will increase as a result of you staying through subsequent RDAs if they occur. Whether you withdraw or not doesn't affect that. You will still by staying in the restructuring and not bidding and exiting the restructuring in the RDA, you will get your entitlement to an improved recovery as a VRT creditor. So even if you withdraw that 3 BTC that I talked about right now, you will still get the benefit of any subsequent RDAs that come in that occur, so long as you don't exit in one of those RDAs.
Yeah. So that I understood, but the thing is like in the first withdrawal, we got 27% of our claims. Out of, I'm taking an example of 1 BTC. So I got 0.27 BTC in my first withdrawal, right? Yeah. And then after that, in the second withdrawal, let's say again I got 23%, so that makes it 50% of my that. So I got 0.5 BTC. So in third withdrawal, I'll get another 25%. Then I get 0.75 in total, and there could be a chance that there is no fourth withdrawal, and I have gone short of 0.25 withdrawal. So that is the situation that we are in right now. So if I stay longer, that doesn't mean that I'll get 100% of my 100% of my things. Hello. Sorry, you're muted, sir.
Yep.
That's right. The only thing driving future distributions is future recoveries of illiquid assets. If there's nothing recovered in the future, there will be no future distributions.
Okay, okay, sir.
Yep.
Thank you so much. That clears out a lot. And I'll email you for the KYC of my sister.
Yep.
So that's one thing I'll do.
Yes,
Thank
please,
you,
Tapan.
Tapan.
Thank you.
MJ, back to the flip vault hearing. The hearing was middle of last week, George, and unfortunately, it was adjourned again. This is the AAA hearing. The Enforcement Directorate submissions included some errors that they had made, and they apologized to the judge, and the judge said, okay, you can fix them, and set a new hearing date in December. I can't remember the exact date.
Okay.
Which is just
So,
shocking and typical, but very, very frustrating. Very, very frustrating.
so they filed incorrect papers and they asked permission to extend
Yep.
to do the proper
Yep.
filing.
And the
Wow.
judge granted it into December. The filing in Hyderabad is, I think it's a week from now. I think it's the 28th of October.
Oh, hold on.
First hearing.
Oh, so the one that you mentioned is the other hearing, the
The
old hearing?
AAA. It's the
Okay.
first action that's been ongoing in the AAA for the whole time.
Where is that held?
George?
MJ, you're asking about the AAA?
Yeah.
I think that's held in, don't hold me to this, I think it's held in Bangalore, the adjudicating appellate authority.
Okay.
The
So
other process is being held in Hyderabad with the hearing at the end of the month.
Got it. Okay. Thank you. So can you also clarify about some balances with flip vault? There are two numbers, seem to be there that the ED has, put hold on the $46 million, and out of that, flip vault owes some 19 or 21 million to vault. So what is the difference amount? Like, I thought flip vault was just a pass-through on-ramp entity to onboard INR to crypto. So how come the entire amount that has been held by ED not for not part of vault?
I'm not sure how to answer that. I mean, the ED is holding $19 million from Vol.
Yes.
Equivalent.
And we are owed 19 million as well.
Yes.
No, but what about the total 46 million, George, that ED is holding, including the fiat?
That's to do with other cases, I guess, right?
What do you mean other cases?
Where did you get the 46 million from?
That's in the newspapers. That's what ED had attached.
I haven't heard that sum mentioned. Is it in relation to other monies they're holding about for other cases, not related to flip vault?
No. This is flip vault amount. It was split between crypto and fiat in Indian rupees and.
I understand, MJ. Presently, the only balances that are actually frozen are the fiat balances. Because the crypto balances never belong to Flipvote in the first place. They belong to DeFi payments. If you recall, the fundamental operating structure of the Vault group was that DeFi payments handled the crypto, and Flipvote handled the INR fiat.
Okay, but then the crypto was also frozen by ED. Correct me if I'm wrong.
They were not.
They were not?
They were not. Because
So they were
the tokens were not capable of being frozen by ED, given that they didn't belong to Flipvote. Those tokens were subsequently distributed to creditors of DeFi payments as part of the first distribution.
Oh, I see. I think that was not clarified. Okay, that would make sense if that was what was done. So you are saying the net amount frozen by ED is 19 million as of now?
Yes.
Yes.
And that is all fiat, right? Indian
Yes.
rupees? Oh, so now, I mean, with the exchange rate
It'd
fluctuations,
actually be worth less now, right? Yeah.
yeah, it would be worth less. Okay, got you. Okay, thank you for clarifying.
But
Jim
I think it's
Lambert.
worth, sorry, pardon me, Jim, just a second. I think it's worth clarifying. You say 19 million are being held by them, but they also owe us 19 million.
FlipVault owes DeFi payments.
So,
19
so
million.
it's a total amount of 19 millions and or plus 19 million.
Just 19 million.
Just
So
19
the
million total.
enforcement
Okay.
directorate's holding it, which FlipVault owned, and FlipVault owes DeFi payments 19 million. So if they get their money from the enforcement directorate, then we get our money from repayment of the loan.
There you go. That's what I want to make sure that is clearly understood. Thank you.
Jim Lambert.
I have put in 3 withdrawal requests, and I've been told every time that I would have the payment within 3 to 5 days, and I've never had the payment yet. I don't know if anyone else has had that issue at all.
There were ongoing problems, and for most of this year, after the security breaches, the payments were either stopped or then went to a manual withdrawal process. So yes, there have been lots of others who have been told the same thing and not delivered on by the company. Those withdrawal requests at the moment will have to be voided, basically, Jim, and new withdrawal requests submitted, very likely through the crypto.com platform that we've been speaking about.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Robert.
So, for clarification purposes, that then means that the first withdrawal has yet to be completed. Because often we say, oh, we already completed the first withdrawal. We are 2 years plus into this effort. And again, for the record, first withdrawal still not completed.
That is true. And also, Robert, because a lot of creditors didn't ask to be repaid until recently. But also then because of the problems encountered this year in the distribution mechanism. So it's not like on day one, every creditor submitted a withdrawal request, and it's been 2 years that we haven't been able to do it. Everybody got paid in that first period. Only in this recent period have there been problems since about March of this year or whatever, thereabouts.
Well, thank you for the clarification, but I think this is important, right? Because too often we say that the first distribution is being completed, but is not. For whatever valid reasons that you just cited, but is not completed, and everybody needs to be clear on that. Thank you.
Thank you. MJ. Oh,
yeah,
and
so just for the
let me just call out Dan and Manjula as well, who have been sitting
Sure,
here but
sure.
haven't asked any questions.
पर ये कैमरा के सामने ना कुछ ज्यादा ही हो जाता है थोड़ा आप लोग बताना कमेंट सेक्शन में लाइक ये
Manjula, are you talking to us?
Yes.
Yes.
I have a couple of queries. Audible?
Sure.
Pardon. Right now, I am audible or not? Please tell me.
Yes.
Okay. I have a couple of queries. First of all, please tell me that since you are opting for crypto.com for next distribution, whether it is legible in India or not, legitimate or not.
Yes.
I think it is not, actually, it is not opening for us. In India, we are not able to access this website.
It is possible for us to use crypto.com to distribute to Indian creditors.
I think majority of creditors are from India.
Yes,
If
correct.
it is not accessible to us, how can it be possible for you to successfully implement this distribution?
It is acceptable, Manjula.
Is it possible? You mean to say?
Hey, Manjula, let me address that
Am I
for you.
audible?
Yes, you are. Go ahead, George.
I repeat my question.
No, it's okay, Manjula. We understand. George is
Okay.
going to answer it again.
Yeah.
Please answer.
Manjula, we have explored this specific issue at length with Crypto.com, specifically for the Indian creditors. They are able to address withdrawals to Indian creditors via reverse solicitation process.
I don't understand that. Which process they will use?
They will use a reverse solicitation process, which means that you approach them for an account sign up, and they allow you to sign up for an account. What they do not do is advertise and market directly to you in India. But if you approach them and as part of this withdrawal process, you approach them, sign up for account, and go through KYC, they will allow all of that because this is a permissible approach under the internal compliance.
You mean to say I have to approach them through email, etc.?
We will set out a workflow for India creditors, Manjula, so that you don't have to individually email them. Instead, all creditors will get the same set of information that they can click on and sign up for an account.
Okay. And my next query is about how, since you have already received some part of payment back from CPA, that is counterparty A, I want to know in which mode did you receive that amount, whether that was in crypto or stable coins, and on which date?
Mostly stable coin. About 25% of it was in crypto form.
Okay. And on which date?
Sometime in August. I can't quite recall.
August.
Okay.
August?
You are not able to recall that. Actually, I also want to know whether that crypto part has been converted to stable or still lying in the same form.
It's lying in the same form.
Okay. It means that has depreciated. That value has depreciated right now due to fall of market.
Yes.
Okay, that is a big loss to us once again. Okay, and my next query is regarding one more issue that it is understood that previous distribution has not been that successful even till this date because many of withdrawals are stuck till now. How can you assure you that in next distribution you will be successful, fully successful, and implement the distribution rightly and effectively?
Manjula, the vast majority of withdrawal requests associated with the first distribution were processed in the last quarter of 2023. So the way that the distribution works is that the number of tokens that each creditor can withdraw appears inside the Vault app. But then that's distribution complete. Once creditors want to withdraw it, they have to submit a withdrawal request and then they can take it off platform. The vast majority of the first distribution withdrawals were successfully processed starting from the fourth quarter of 2023 up to over the course of 2024. And it's only during the course of 2025 that slowed down significantly and stopped at certain points because of the withdrawal suspensions associated with the security breaches. There have been some manual withdrawals, and ultimately these are for creditors that were entitled to withdraw back in late 2023, but did not do so until much more recently. So to the extent that we are talking about the Crypto.com solution, we fully expect that given their ability to scale KYC up and their ability to onboard a KYC and distribute to a significantly larger number of creditors than even the entire creditor base of the Vault platform, this is going to be it's not going to be an issue for them. Basically, any creditor that is entitled to a share of the second distribution and signs up for a Crypto.com account, passes KYC, and submits a withdrawal request to the scheme manager, will be able to access his share of the second distribution in very short order.
Okay, and since you have filed, you have made a filing in the court regarding next distribution, will you be making available the email ID of court to us creditors also, so that we can address our concern to before court also?
Let me take that one, Jason.
Sure.
So, Manjula, in respect of this court application, we've got a case conference on the 28th of October. At this conference, the court will provide information on how the court can be reached if creditors want to reach out. This can be via affidavit, potentially via email. We will keep creditors updated on the outcome of the case conference.
Okay, thank you. I will wait for that. Thank you.
Manjula, without I mean, creditors have every right to ask questions, and if the court permits it of the court, I would just caution you on delaying that process by putting questions before the court that would then cause it to stretch the process, because it will delay any distributions we make. Any questions that we can help you with in advance, let us know, and we would love to help you.
Can I ask one more question? I have an apprehension that CR does not want to have any reserve for further recovery from CPA, and you are willing to allocate some more funds, creditors' funds, for a recovery process.
Correct.
Actually, I have doubt. I think since CR has inside information, there is no more possibility of further recovery. That's why CR is not willing to allocate further funds. But
that's not correct.
Okay. Why there is dispute? I think you must have discussed this matter with him.
Sure. He feels like we could distribute the amount that we're holding back, because we're going to get future recoveries from other things like FTX and coin loan. I don't agree. I strongly disagree with that, because we could get a judgment tomorrow from counterparty A, have paid out all our money, and FTX has been delayed now for many, many, many months. There's been 4 and ongoing new KYC processes, and I would not put creditors' recoveries at risk like that, because that money is being reserved for you. It's either to pursue counterparty A, or if we don't need it, we'll pay it out to you. But it's just introducing risk to not have funding when we need it.
One more thing, I want you to keep 5 million more reserve. That is to make then once you recover from FTX, that will make 10 million limit cross, so that there can be a distribution. Otherwise, that if there is no more recovery, there will not be any further distribution. Then that amount recovered from FTX will always remain undistributed.
No, I can decide to distribute it. That there's discretion for that. We have to distribute it if there's 10 million, but I could decide that we want to distribute it even when we don't have 10 million.
Okay. Thank you.
And I would.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Manjula.
Thank you.
Fire away, whoever can get in first. I forgot who put their hand up first. Tapan, Jim, MJ?
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes.
I just want to continue with the person who talked to before us, Manjul.
Yes.
So, in what he said about the crypto.com, I'm trying to access it through my laptop and mobile phone. The thing is, I think the Indian government has banned those websites earlier, and they haven't been unbanned in India yet. So wouldn't that be a problem for us to continue with crypto.com?
let us take that away and revert to Palm.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a couple of follow-ups on the crypto.com as well, Jason.
Yep.
So one question I have is, if I understand correctly, how the assets would be transferred is, let's assume we go with the 4 cryptos decided currencies, right? BTC, ETH, XRP, and USD. You would do a consolidated transfer of, at a high level, the amount to crypto.com, and crypto.com would credit, the accounts of the creditors after KYC with the respective cryptocurrencies. Is my understanding correct? So we save on the
Yep.
fees of transfer fees from Vault platform to the destination crypto account.
Yep.
Okay. So in light of that, how are you as a scheme manager going to track our claims, the original claims? Because right now that is being tracked in the Vault account. Like, what was my original claim? Are you going to, I mean, I'm assuming at some point Vault platform, assuming your approach is taken, right, going forward, would no longer be operational, right? So how would you keep the accounting? Would you transfer all that information to crypto.com? Have you had any discussions how to track?
No, we would track that ourselves.
Okay. And since I'm hearing a lot of folks who have not taken their first distribution, are you planning to sweep their first distribution amount as well if it is pending onto the crypto? Otherwise,
Yeah.
they'll get stuck up on the
Yeah.
Vault platform.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll have to do the first one as well. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thanks for clarifying. That would be helpful for folks.
Yeah.
And what is this case conference on October 28th that George was mentioning?
That's when the judge sets the timetable for the next hearing. So he might say, so we're finishing our diligence. We're trying to finish that as quickly as we can on crypto.com and working through, all of these issues that you guys are asking us as well, right? We're still in the middle of it. We're going to get that report. We're going to file it with the court. We're trying to get information on Bold as well, but we're not getting any responses, so can't do that. The judge might say, for example, on the 28th, please distribute that to all creditors as well as the court. Give creditors 7 days to consider it. He might have received 3 affidavits between now and then from creditors. As far as we know, there haven't been any. And he might say, I give you 2 weeks to respond to those affidavits, and then he'll give the other creditors another week to respond, and blah, blah, blah. And therefore, I set a hearing for this on, December the 10th or whatever, right? So he's just setting the timetable for the conduct of what happens between now and the hearing. And he'll also, as Manjula asked, he'll describe how the hearing will be conducted and whether creditors can phone in or etc.
Okay. Who can attend this case conference? Can I attend this?
No, that's just counsel that's just our counsel.
Okay. And you're no longer using Raja and 10 as your counsel, right?
Correct.
Okay. And one final question, since you mentioned about FTX KYC,
Yeah.
I'm really shocked that how come it has not been escalated to the highest levels to get it resolved?
The latest request from them recently was that 3 different entities that are a part of the KYC process need to produce financial accounts to them, and those entities don't have financial accounts. So now we have to produce them.
What are these 3 entities we're talking about?
George, has that been disclosed before? It probably has.
Yes.
Do you remember?
These are it's the entity that's the counterparty to FTX. is previously DeFi Technologies UAB, and they have also requested the accounts for the UBO, ultimate beneficiary owner of DeFi Technologies UAB.
So the first 25 I understood is that European entity of DeFi payments, right? Which
Yeah.
had the direct counterparty relationship with FTX.
Yes.
And what is the second entity?
The shareholders of it.
The shareholders of that entity.
Yeah. The ultimate beneficial owners of that entity.
So those are the two entities. Their financials have to be submitted.
I think there's 3 because there's 2 UBOs.
That's correct. No, that's correct. That's why has been requested for KYC.
What is the third one?
They have requested some information in respect of the smaller minority shareholders, but that's not financials. They have requested a separate set of corporate documentation.
Okay. So when we're talking about shareholder, correct me if I'm wrong, that's Darshan and company, right? For the European, who's the shareholders out there? How are we going to get that information?
Yeah, it's not Darshan. It's Darshan's entity. Darshan is not 100% shareholder of that entity, but it is the holding company of the DeFi group, DeFi Holding.
We're working with Darshan to put it together.
Yes.
Okay. How long have you been working on that?
A couple of weeks.
Okay. And how soon you think you can put together?
I was messaging with him today. He needs help from that former employee that we were talking about as well. So he's speaking to him and he's going to call us back.
Okay.
All
right.
I don't know. We're trying, and he's trying, but yeah, we need to dig out some information, pull it together.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. Jim.
Hey, Jason. When you were saying earlier, did you say the first payment was completed? Because I heard you saying something about March onwards, you've had issues. I believe my first request was sometime last year, but I've never been paid it.
George will have the detail better than me. Well, that may have been because you had a particular KYC issue, but generally, up until earlier this year, withdrawal requests that were submitted were paid. But you did mention a KYC problem, right?
No, I've never had a KYC. No.
So you have been KYC?
Yeah, I've had 3 emails in saying that my payment has been done, but I've never received it.
Jim, this sounds
Vault.
like something that needs to be verified in more detail. Can you drop me an email with the details, please?
Yeah. What's your email, George?
George.gui@crow.com.
We can look
Okay,
into it for
I'll
you.
do that. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
No problem. There's some chat. If you already have an account with crypto.com, do I have to re-KYC? No, Dan, you don't. You waited a long time to ask that question. Thank you for your patience. Are there any other questions, guys? All right, we might call it at that then. Thank you very much for tonight, guys. That was really helpful. If you have any other questions, ping them through. We can respond separately offline or one-on-one. But otherwise, we'll get on with this process. We've still got a lot of work to do.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks all. Bye, guys.